Continue to press the Nigerian government and its security services to uphold human rights and the rule of law, to investigate all incidents of brutality, illegal detentions and the use of excessive force, and to hold those responsible to account. We will closely monitor the judicial panel of inquiries and continue to advocate for investigations into police brutality. The government will consider its options as the panel's work progresses. The government would also continue to work with the Nigerian government and international and civil society partners to improve the accountability and transparency of the Nigerian police for the benefit of all Nigerians.
Theresa Villiers.
Thank you, Mr Gray. Well, like others, I believe this has been an excellent debate with well-informed contributions, with real insight both from backbench and front bench. And I would take this last minute or two just to really urge the Minister and the rest of the team at the Foreign Office to use all diplomatic means they have available to get the message to the authorities in Nigeria that they need to listen to what the protests are asking for, and that they, and I do.
What we're seeing in Nigeria today is part of that story. It's a tragedy that we are watching. It's a tragedy that we are all witnessing, because as we see things falling apart, the pressure this time is not foreign colonialism, forgive me. The pressure instead is corruption and violence and attempts at control. And that's why I totally agree with my honourable friend, the member for Edmonton. We need to call out the corruption. We need to use the powers that we have in this country to stop those who are profiting from the wealth of that great nation and hiding it here. Now, some people will remember when General Gowon left Nigeria with half the central bank, so it is said, and moved to London. We know that today, even now, in this great city of ours, there are, sadly, some people who have taken from the Nigerian people and hidden their ill-gotten gains here. We know that our banks, sadly, have been used for that profit and for that illegal transfer of assets. And that means that the UK is in an almost unique position in being able to actually do something to really exert pressure on those who have robbed the Nigerian.
Look at wider issues of violence and human rights abuses by military and police across Nigeria. Mr Gray, the UK government should regard the findings of an independent investigation with the utmost seriousness and take action to implement sanctions across individuals identified as being responsible to the atrocities that have taken place. They should also make appropriate adjustments to the overseas military security and justice assistance funding and training of any Nigerian military, security and policing organisations which may have committed violations in line with the government's own guidance to ensure OSJA funding meets our human rights obligations and our values. Mr Gray, this issue does not begin and end at Lekki Toll Plaza on October the 20th. There have been reports of violence by Special Anti-Robbery Squad since 2017, and there continue to be serious consequences as a result of protests which took place earlier this year. Young people have reported intimidation by the Nigerian government following protests, and as mentioned by a number of my colleagues, there have been reports of bank accounts frozen, social media banned, and people being detained in prison for their involvement in speaking out against police violence. These actions are unacceptable.
Do not benefit ordinary Nigerians. We need a new focus on poverty relief and anti-corruption programmes. Mr Gray, it is vital that we recognise the role of the UK and how these events have unfolded in Nigeria. Despite previously stating the opposite, the government has now admitted to funding SARS units for the last 4 years. That funding not only included the provision of training to those units, but the supply of equipment. at the very moment in which Amnesty International had declared SARS units to have been involved in extrajudicial killings, corruption and torture, the government